Here at the Open Door Network, therapy plays a large part in helping people from our community recover from past traumas. And Boston here is training very hard to help in that mission.
Say hi to the people. That is so cute.
Just a little over 1 year old, Boston is not just cute.
Sit.
But has been training hard to help people through dog therapy. His dog mom, Erica Melendez, is a licensed therapist here at Open Door Network and enlisted him in training with Marley Smuts after seeing people's response to him.
Boston can help other clients heal, even staff if they're going through things.
You want to shake my hand? Okay.
Because he is still training, most of his interaction so far has been with staff. But already, Melendez says Boston has been comforting them on tough days.
Client-centered therapy where he's just here with them, right? So if someone's crying, he'll learn how to pick up on that and he'll come lay his head on their foot or he'll lay on their lap. With Marley Smuts, he'll learn how to do things like cuddle. If we're seeing older people or even just people that are sitting, he'll learn how to kind of come up onto them so that they can pet him and stuff like that.
Boston is a pit and bully mix, which has been a stigmatized breed. But Melendez says that is even more fitting for the people they see.
And I think it kind of relates to our clients, right? Like people will see them as broken, but they're not, right?
Now, Boston here is just one piece of that puzzle. But later on in our newscast, we'll talk about children traumas and what are the issues that they face, plus the resources that are available here to help them. In Bakersfield, Vania Patino, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
I think it's a really painful experience to watch. You know, I really feel like Wendy could be any one of us. If I had to choose in a split second between my life or someone else's, I know what my answer would be.
Wendy Howard is being accused of shooting her ex, Kelly Reese Pitts, back in June 2019. 23 ABC spoke with Howard about the case that year and asked if she would go back and change anything.
Trusting someone that had already showed who they were, not giving them a chance. That was my mistake.
Back in 2019, Howard was released on bail. Her family telling 23 ABC, the judge said it was because he saw evidence for a justified self-defense case. And that's what organizers with the Wendy Howard Defense Committee tell me they want people to recognize.
Our responsibility is to call awareness to the injustice that Wendy faces as a survivor of domestic violence. Wendy is being re-traumatized by having to go to trial and for being charged with an extreme sentence of 50 years to life for defending her right to live.
And Morris adds their rally Tuesday morning is to ask the district attorney's office to free Wendy.
We are organizing and urging the Kern County DA to drop all charges against Wendy Howard. Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is this October, is the perfect time more than ever to drop all charges against Wendy in this case of self-defense.
Their goal is to get the charges dropped before the opening statements so the family, including one of Wendy's daughters, do not have to relive those experiences.
She is horrified at the fact that she will have to be testifying in court and in front of strangers and talking about incredibly painful, traumatic experiences. It's just a position nobody wishes to be in.
Too expensive.
And experts say gas prices will only go up from here. At this 76 station in Monterey Park, one driver paid just over $100 to fill up their 15-gallon tank. On average, drivers across SoCal are paying between $6 and $7 a gallon for regular self-serve gasoline. The big question is why? AAA says Hurricane Ian, refinery issues, and increased demand are the top three causes leading to the skyrocketing prices. So how much more are you spending at the pump? Last week, a regular tank of gas cost $5.79. That's $75.27 to fill up a 13-gallon tank. Well, today, to fill up the same tank is $84.11. You're paying $8.84 more. And how's this for a comparison? In Texas, a gallon of regular gasoline is just over $3. Californians are paying about $3.30 more. It all adds up.
We definitely have become logistically a little bit more efficient.
We caught up with Victor A. before he refueled his SUV after dropping off his younger kids at school. He says as gas prices climb, his college-age son, who loves to drive, is putting the keys away and wants to hitch a ride with him now.
Well, since you're doing the loop, why don't you drop me off? I'm like, dude, really, like, drive? And he's like, no, he doesn't want to waste his gas. So he makes that drive, so.
This morning, as the death toll from Hurricane Ian rises, new images emerge showing the storm's destructive power. Helicopters from the Coast Guard and National Guard continue to conduct rescue missions. More than 2,300 people rescued from the air so far, with more saved by boat from barrier islands cut off from the mainland by the storm.
And the water just kept pounding the house, and we watched boats, houses, we watched everything just go flying by. We've lost so much at this point, so we appreciate you guys being here.
Residents already pledging to rebuild.
But it will need a complete rebuild. Electric grid, water systems, it's going to take a lot of work, but it will come back.
Further inland, the flood damage is vast. After more than 2 million people were left without power, state officials say this morning more than half have their lights back on. But along the state's southwestern coast, still reeling after a direct hit, Floridians are returning home to communities gone. And in Lee County, facing the highest death toll, new questions about why local leaders ordered an evacuation on Tuesday instead of Monday like neighboring areas. State officials, including Governor Ron DeSantis, saying the storm's track changed at the last minute.
We did what we had to do at the exact same time. I wouldn't have changed anything. And I know, being in those meetings from the very minute, this storm was very unpredictable.
President Biden is now planning to visit Florida on Wednesday to survey damage from Ian exactly a week after the storm first made landfall. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
That house halfway underwater, there goes my car floating away.
When you hear the word hurricane, you naturally think of the south and east coast. But as our brush with Tropical Storm K just a few weeks ago shows, San Diego is not immune.
Coastal flooding and hurricanes and tsunamis, of course, they can happen. And we're actually in one of the areas that are basically lacking the infrastructure against these impacts.
SDSU engineering professor Hassan Davani studies the effect of climate on infrastructure. He says San Diego's problem is that most of our storm infrastructure is built along the coast. That's where our storm drains funnel all the water. But with sea levels rising, those systems are easily overwhelmed.
When storms like this happen, the pipes, the network is already filled with water, so there is no room for extra water.
Unfortunately, local leaders say the problem will continue to get worse as storms continue to get more intense.
What we're finding is with the climate change impacts, we're getting 100-year storms happening a couple of times in 10 years.
Sharon Humphreys is the Director of Engineering and Construction at Sandag. She suggests our region invest more in storm infrastructure because we're facing very different conditions now than when the current system was built.
There's a lot more buildings, there's a lot more roadways, there's a lot more parking lots. And what that means is when the rain comes down on those surfaces, it doesn't have anywhere to go but into a storm drain. And a lot of our storm drains were built 30, 50 years ago, and they're not big enough to handle the storms that we're getting now.
Until those upgrades, rain is likely to produce increasingly damaging floods along San Diego's coast. And the scenes we're seeing in Florida could happen right here. Jeff Lasky, ABC 10 News.
We talk a lot about inflation on the news, and for good reason. It's something that impacts each and every one of our families. Here on Capitol Hill, lawmakers talk a lot about inflation, too. Republicans have ideas that they take back control of Congress this November to cut spending in the new year to help inflation. Democrats talk about new government programs to offset the high costs if they're able to keep control. But all of those ideas require months of debate, most likely, as well as the necessary votes. And they may not happen, which is why it's refreshing to hear real inflation relief may be on the horizon that won't require a vote from Congress.
What am I talking about? Bear with me because I'm going to say something really boring. Cost of living adjustments. It may sound a bit dry, but if you're an older American on Social Security, I know you're listening. You see, cost of living adjustments are the increase in pay Americans on Social Security receive each year. Think of it like a raise while in retirement. Cost of living adjustments are based on the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation and has been at 40-year highs for most of the year. Right now, the expectation is the adjustment in 2023 will be 8.7%. So if you get a $1,000 check every month, that's $87 more for you.
Right now, it's just an estimate what the raise will be for those on Social Security. We're waiting on one more inflation report before the numbers are final. That's expected on October 13th.
Of course, many older Americans see each year their annual cost of living adjustments wiped out by Medicare increases, but there is relief on that front too. President Biden announced last week that Medicare Part B premiums will actually go down in the new year for the first time in over a decade. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.